You're speaking just on the general government side?
From general government side. Just to prioritize those, and then if there are recommendations from you and/or in consultation with your department heads, no, I think you should feel free to propose them. I would concur that I would lean towards the conservative side. Some have heard me say let's not spend any of it. So, but if we could look at a list of what those might be, as well as Mr. Dino's comment of reducing the fee. Because if that's where he wants to go, let's beat him to the front.
That's right. I hope you do.
It's $40,000 per $10. Anything else? I think at the next meeting, though, I think we need to establish the priority, because we need to have.
Definitely, we need to get.
Because the finance planning team does not make those decisions.
Right. That's right.
We need to have a joint meeting, and we haven't had that discussion as a board. Again, as was pointed out earlier, the upfront agreement is 60/40.
Right.
And that was not the finance planning team agreement. That was when we had the big round table. That doesn't mean 60/40 is the right number either. Just that was the upfront. Anything else? That's all I had on that. Okay. Executive session. I have something. But Tom, did you have anything?
No,
for executive?
besides what you...
Mr. Chairman, I move to enter into executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining and to return to open session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion. Roll call vote. Mrs. Bailey.
Aye.
Mr. Callaghan.
Aye.
Mr. Muldoon.
Aye.
Savino.
Aye.
And chair votes aye.
With a short recess, Mr. Chairman.
With a short recess. I told them their second step would be to come to this board, and then their third step should be to go to the HDC. So I guess, again, and I'm sure when they come before us, they will not have all the answers, but they will have some of the answers. They have some new ideas they want to explore, and that's what they were going to do with the architect.
Good.
And I think they should do that.
Good. Yeah, definitely.
So they were enthusiastic, so that there are positive things happening in the community, and
Move
they
forward,
were,
as we're saying.
and they were enthusiastic about that, and I indicated I would bring that up. You brought it up before I did, but
Good.
so.
Good, I didn't know that. Good, thank you. Thank you, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Well, while everyone else was talking, I whittled down my list. So
We tried to help you.
I'll just call the board's attention. I asked Mr. Younger to put in your packet copies of memos written by George Dow related to budgeting, and they were dated in August of 2001. So if you got these memos and they were August 2001, why am I seeing this now? I would also call to the board's attention that the original distribution of these memorandums had a book, a budget book included with them. So if you need a copy of that budget book, as Mr. Callaghan probably does, and I think, okay, so the other members should all have one, but you might want to take a look at that. This is by no means the direction we'll head in, but it's a thought. Which really brings me to the next point, which was brought out earlier. I will be calling a finance planning team meeting. We'll have a discussion, and then it needs to go back to the respective boards, and we'll come up with some kind of plan of action. I think it's clear we're going to take a different approach. I'm not sure the finance planning team is the way to do that either, as I've had discussions with some folks about. So we'll have a sort of an initial finance planning team meeting, which is traditionally chair and vice chair of FinCom, Board of Selectmen, School Committee, and then I'll throw some things out there that others have brought to my attention, and we'll have a discussion, and then we'll plan a course of action and proceed, but the sooner the better with that. So if anyone has thoughts on that, please contact me. I'd also like to make note, Tom mentioned the budget in his update, and the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, the Regional Services Consortium, we've dropped out of that, as well as the notification, and you all had copies of this, but the notification of the Cultural Council that was dropped from the budget as well. So, just to make everyone aware, because I think someone's going to say, where'd those things go? I received correspondence from Robert Dolan, who's the mayor of Melrose, and I also received a letter from Richard Gregorio, an old acquaintance, from the town of Stoneham. He's the current Finance Advisory Board chair in Stoneham. Both letters are in reference to the Boat School proposed budget, and so I'm not going to read the letters into the record, but I would, if the board thinks it appropriate, I think I'd like to see our Boat School representative. That budget is having an impact on us. We all saw an increase. I'd like to get a sense of what's going on over there. I know there's been other discussion, and perhaps we can coordinate. I know the other folks have different concerns with the Boat School, so I don't know if we need to, in terms of their course offerings, et cetera, and we have, evidently at this point, we now have students who are opting out because the vote doesn't offer what they need, and that's costing us being the town of North Reading additional funding. So I'd like to see our representative, and perhaps we need to coordinate that with the school committee and have a joint meeting. But I'd like to know what the heck is going on with that budget over there. They're doing. So if we could, Tom, if you could contact our representative, and then if you could contact the school department, see if we need to. Hopefully we don't need to coordinate that, because I don't necessarily want to talk about curriculum as much as I want to talk about the budget and the direction that budget is taking and the impact that budget is having on us. Last thing, the other thing I wanted to mention was I did receive the last of the liaison assignments tonight, so based on a quick scan of what I saw, I'll be contacting probably each and every one of you to have discussions and sort of horse trade and cajole you into taking something you don't want because no one else wants it, etc. So, but I thank you for those submissions, and we'll get those out and done as quickly as possible. The last thing I'd like to mention is along the lines of the override and so forth, and along the lines of the town of North Reading. I think there is a lot of energy in the community. I think that this community was, and will be a great place to live. I think that in talking to people in other communities and attending that meeting we had with RMLD, I think North Reading is trying to deal with its budget crisis the same as all the other communities. So I think we've done some very interesting and innovative things here. Some that others probably look at us and say, what did they do that for? And others who are sort of stealing our ideas. Belmont taking 2 budgets to their town meeting, so that was it Belmont?
I'll neither confirm nor deny that statement. That's my town.
Yeah. Belmont, it was...
You copied us.
Yeah. So I think the budget process was a difficult process. The override was a difficult process. People have spoken. We need to move forward in as positive a way as possible. And I think we can all do that. And I think we can get some get some things accomplished. It will be, I think it will be difficult, and I think we have to take a new approach, particularly to the budget, and I think we have to be extremely careful as we move forward in terms of adding things back, because it will have long-term impacts. And if we thought the future was uncertain, it is even more uncertain now. And those who saw the forecast in detail know that next year, absent the override, will be just as difficult, if not more. So it is going to require that we take a different approach. I look forward to working with each and every one of you, as well as all the other boards and committees, as we move forward to continue to be a great place to live. That's the last of my items. We do have executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I move to enter into executive session for the purpose of negotiations and to return to open session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Second.
Discussion. Is that, I have that issue. Is that under
If you want to amend it for litigation.
including litigation? You would amend it.
I amend to negotiations and litigation.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Roll call vote. Mrs. Bailey? Mr. Muldoon? Aye. Mr. Gallagher?
Aye.
Mr. Vino?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy votes aye. Unanimous. Thank you all.
When's the next meeting?
June 3rd.